So, good morning, Kiers. As you know, this is Tom, I'm Sam, both from Lawdit Solicitors, and this is our daily blog. So, Tom, what are we going to talk about today?
Okay, Sam, so I reckon we should talk about trademarks.
Yeah, we know a bit about trademarks.
So we can just talk about how you register a trademark, what territories you need to register in, just the basics to just go through to registration. Okay, what do you think?
So, should we start off with what you can register?
Okay, let's go with that. So there's three main types of trademarks that you can register. So I've got a few props prepared. So there's the words only, that's written in plain text, that's Nike in just plain text. That's quite common.
Yeah.
The second one we have is the word device. So that's the Nike with the tick. So that contains the words and the figurative element as well.
And Tom, will that protect both the word and the logo, or?
Yes, you get a monopoly in the whole of the mark.
Yeah.
So if someone copies your tick, you should be able to pursue them. If someone copies the Nike, you can pursue them too.
Okay. That's quite a good method.
And then the third one that's very common is the purely figurative. So that's without any wording, it's just the tick. There we go. That's the three main types of trademark.
Yeah.
There are other unusual types of trademark. So we have sounds, we have colours as per there was the Cadbury's case, but that ultimately failed because of Nestle. They took them to court.
Yeah.
We have sounds, colours, smells. In an unusual situation, there are around the world a couple of smells.
The company for tennis balls
That's
registered the smell
of what was it? Freshly cut grass.
Freshly cut grass for tennis balls.
That's the one. What else do we have? There's 3D designs potentially. All of these are very, very hard to register. You need to show that the public at large recognise, i.e., the smell of freshly cut grass with a tennis ball. Tennis ball with a freshly cut grass.
Yeah.
Which is very difficult. So these are rare situations, but nevertheless they do exist.
I think one of the main things is you've got to make sure that it's very distinct, it's not descriptive.
Absolutely, we went through that yesterday. So we have to make sure that the trademark is distinctive to the public and that it's not descriptive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's move back to Nike. Nike's always a great example. So Nike, as far as I'm aware, doesn't mean anything. So naturally it is distinctive because the public can't link it to anything else. It's a made-up word, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in this situation, you have the tick as well, which is, I mean, it's world famous, but it's distinctive. It's a distinctive mark.
Yeah. Everyone knows that. Everyone
knows it. It's got a huge reputation. So naturally, that is a distinctive trademark. But what's one that lacks distinctiveness? Come on, give me an example. Make something happen.
For example, the best solicitors. If we try to register the best solicitors, not only is it descriptive of us being solicitors, it's also what is known as laudatory. So it expresses praise about the good or services that we offer.
That's it. So people would naturally think that the best solicitors, they're going to be good. In fact, they should be the best.
Of course, Lord, we are the best, so we don't need to register it.
That's so bad. Right, okay, so let's move on to territory. So once, as a brand owner, you've decided exactly what you want, whether you want this, whether you want the word device, exactly what you want, and you should register it how you use it. There's no point registering it a completely different logo if you're not going to use it.
Yeah. So we'll call that step one. Get yourself a nice logo. Decide if you want a word device mark, or you just want the word on its own.
Typically, that is the not most arduous, but it can be quite painstaking because it's picking the right brand. You have to. It's the figurehead of your business, so you have to spend time to make sure that it's good, it's going to attract customers, that's not descriptive and distinctive, and also that it's
and it's your own work. please don't be taking someone else's logo and just changing it a bit.
Absolutely. And the worst offenders for those, they go, I want a nice background to the image, I'll go on Google image searches. But I think that's for another time.
Please, yeah.
that comes under copyright, and we'll come back to that one.
Be with them.
Right, okay, so pick a decent brand, make sure it's not descriptive, and that it's distinctive. It's always a good idea to have a trademark search. Before putting a lot of money into a business, it's always a good idea to have a trademark search. And obviously we provide it, and we do it on a day-to-day basis. But essentially what a trademark search is, we look on the trademark registers across the world, and we see if Nike's registered. So if there's anything similar, so if you propose the name Nike, we will look on all the trademark registers, and we will say, oh, well, there is actually this world famous brand, you can't use it.
Yeah.
And that will save you a lot of time and money in the long run, because they may take you to court, there could be infringement. We don't know, but ultimately it will put your business activities on hold, and it could cost you a fortune.
Which we're here to save you money and protect your brand.
That's it, that's what we're here for. Okay, so we've covered the trademark itself.
Yeah.
Let's look at, let's say, territory.
The territories.
So there's no such thing as a worldwide trademark. You can register your trademark pretty much all across the world.
Yeah.
But that is an absolute fortune. Every country has its own trademark registry, and you would have to register there. You can't file one application and claim a monopoly across the world, unfortunately.
Fortunately not. Should we start with things a bit closer to home?
Yeah.
So you can register a UK trademark. You would register it with the UK Intellectual Property Office. And this will give you protection in the whole of the United Kingdom. So if your business is just starting out, if you're not trading overseas, you may wish to look into this first.
That's one of the most common. It's certainly one which I deal with on a day-to-day basis. I always advise people to stay close to home. Where are you trading at the moment? And for me, they say UK. So we register a UK trademark. The other one that I always propose to people is an EU trademark. And that is a blanket trademark. It covers 28 member states. So it's the whole of the European Union.
Yeah.
And I say that's a great starting point, because the UK still is part of the EU.
At the moment.
At the moment. So you get your protection in the UK like you wanted, but also it allows you to expand to the EU markets without having to put in another registration. And that's a key point with trademarks. Once you file an application, you cannot amend it. So it's key to make sure that you get it correct in the first instance.
I think recently I've got a client who wishes to change his logo. So we're simply going to let his old trademark lapse. We won't renew it, but we will file him a new trademark. So again, we'll always double check it for you. But we like to check, and double check.
That's it. It's key that you get it correct before filing, because ultimately you can waste your money.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. And that's why you have to get the legal professionals. Because we know exactly what we're doing. We do it on a day-to-day basis, and we're going to get it right.
Yeah.
And it's not particularly expensive, so it's worth getting the advice of a solicitor or a trademark attorney, just to give you a piece of advice and hopefully register it for you.
Yeah.
So yes, territory. So we've got the UK, we've got the EU. In terms of costs, the base figure for a UK trademark is £170. EU is €850. So it's quite a lot more expensive.
It is a big jump.
But you have 28 member states.
Yeah.
Instead of just the one. So
it's better value for money.
It's good value for money.
Yeah.
And ultimately it gives you a bit more sort of leeway in developing your business.
And we should note that price is for 10 years.
Yes, trademarks can last indefinitely. Unlike other forms of intellectual property, which are finite, trademarks, as long as you keep up your registration fees, they could last forever.
Yeah.
So like we said last week, the Bass trademark. First trademark in the UK, still registered. So over 100 years.
Yeah, we've got to watch out though, that your trademark doesn't become descriptive. For example,
That's a good one.
Henry Hoover.
Yeah.
We all know it. What do we call a vacuum cleaner? Well, we now call it a Hoover. I believe the Intellectual Property Office said to the guys at Henry Hoover, I'm afraid your mark is now descriptive of the product. and it can't function as a trademark anymore.
That's a great one. Here's a few examples. So it's what they call genericide. It becomes generic, and people use that term for the good. So like you said, Sam. So Hoover, I call it a Hoover, whether it's made by Dyson, whether it's a Henry, or whatever. I call it a Hoover.
Not that you've ever touched a Hoover, though.
No, that's true. I call it a Hoover.
Yeah.
A few more examples of that. We have, would you believe, I think it's Escalator.
Yeah.
That's an American trademark.
Oh wow. Sellotape.
Sellotape. That's a great one. Velcro.
Velcro.
They're trying very hard with that one. I was doing some research into that. They're trying very hard not for it to become generic.
Yeah.
So they call it the Velcro hook and loop system.
Yeah.
Just trying to say it's not a Velcro strip, like we all use.
It is Velcro.
It is.
We didn't tell you about that. Yeah.
So that's genericide, and unfortunately that's one of the side effects of a brand doing very well in the market, to the point where the customers recognise any vacuum cleaner, they call it a Hoover because they recognise Hoovers as being such a good quality and so well known that they just call it throughout the whole category of product. We'll go into that one, I think, deeper another time. But so we've got the territory, UK, EU. We can pretty much register across the world. It's just there's not many blanket registrations like the EU.
I'll tell you what, Tom, when did you tell me about the Madrid Protocol?
Oh, that's good. Okay, so the Madrid Protocol is run by the World Intellectual Property Organization called WIPO. And it's a protocol which has member states. I wish I remembered exactly how many. I think it's 98 member states. And essentially we all sign up to this and say that WIPO we can file a trademark with WIPO and they will send it out to each of the member states that you wish to register in. It means we can file one application and it can be registered in several member states at once. So we have to have a base registration, what they call a base registration. So that's the initial registration in the UK, the initial registration in the EU, wherever you start trading.
Yeah.
So we base it on that one. So we say, copy this trademark as it is on this register to these countries. Say Russia, China, Singapore, Korea.
It's really useful tool.
It's very useful. It's time consuming, certainly for us. But in terms of, once again, value for money and ease of use, Madrid Protocol is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's quite rare that you have to register outside of that area. So once you have the UK, the EU, the Madrid Protocol, you're well covered. It's quite rare to have one outside of it. The one I'm asked mostly is Hong Kong, which unfortunately isn't in the Madrid Protocol, and I have to instruct agents, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately. But that's exactly it. So we've got the territory, and there's various costs because there are different intellectual property offices.
Again, though, we would always discuss the fees with you.
Oh yeah,
we would
absolutely.
make sure that we're all happy before we go ahead and do anything.
Absolutely. As solicitors, we don't like to take advantage of people. We always discuss the fees first. Once you're happy, then we'll register. We always confirm absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And that's part of where we get things right. We confirm it. We make sure that your brand is adequately protected, i.e. that we get your specification. We research into what you do and make sure that we have all the classes that are absolutely necessary for you to have brand protection. Okay, what should we cover next? So we've done the trademark itself, we've done the territory. What else have we got?
What about the opposition period?
Ooh, okay, we should go through the sort of process.
Yeah.
Okay, so as soon as we file a trademark, there's an examination process. So we file it with, let's say, the UK Intellectual Property Office. We have a trademarks examiner who then looks at the trademark, goes through, is it distinctive, is it descriptive? If he's happy, then you pass the examination period and you move on to publication. Now, unfortunately, if it is not distinctive and is descriptive, your trademark may fail there and then. and that's where it's end of the road. Unfortunately, you can appeal the decision, but potentially it's end of the road. Okay, so if we pass the examination stage, we then move to the opposition period. Now, the system's changed from around 2007.
Yeah.
It used to be a different process. The examiner take a much more rigorous job, I suppose. So anyway, the publication period is where it's published in the Trademarks Journal.
Yeah.
In each territory. So if it's a UK trademark, it's published in the UK Trademarks Journal. And so it allows any previous rights holder, that is, i.e. if you're trying to register Nike, that's this Nike, it gives them the opportunity to stop you from registering a trademark.
Yeah.
And so they have to file an application with the Intellectual Property Office, costing them money. And you have like a pseudo-court process. What will happen is you'll hear evidence from each side as to why each person should be registered or not.
Yeah.
And then if it goes all the way to the end, then you get a decision. Now, I'm trying to remember the official statistic. It's something like 2 in 10 trademark applications are rejected.
Yeah.
And, or opposed, sorry. So, it's not the worst 20%.
No, and obviously,
It's
we always advise for a trademark search to be carried out so that a risk of an opposition is always minimised.
Absolutely. So if you propose to trademark Nike, we'll say, don't do it.
Don't do it because it's going to get opposed.
Absolutely. So you're equipped with exactly knowing what's on the register already. But if you go ahead anyway, so you have the opposition period, which is generally 2 months in the UK. In the EU, it's 3 months. And so it's just left in a book so that anyone can oppose it.
But they don't automatically have to oppose it. You may be able to come to an agreement with the other trademark holder and say, yeah, we can both coexist in this state.
Absolutely. Most people are amicable. They don't want to go through opposition periods, or oppositions in general, which can easily take a year plus.
Yeah.
12 months. It's a long time. It's expensive for you using lawyers. And so they'll come up with a coexistence agreement, i.e. the 2 marks exist under certain terms. And that's quite common.
Yeah.
Most people are amicable. They don't want to go through an opposition period. So it's not the end of the world if the trademark's imposed. There's certainly ways around it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the opposition period. So we have the initial, so we have the filing, which doesn't take that long. Then we have the examination period, up to 2 weeks, depending on how busy the Intellectual Property Office is. We have the publication, that's 2 months in the UK, 3 months in the EU. And all going well, it's gone past that time limit.
So you'll have the...
Oh yeah, we'll send a nice certificate.
Yeah, we'll send you a lovely shiny certificate through the post.
That's it.
We'll then contact you in about 10 years' time to inform you that your trademark is due for renewal. Again, that's a relatively straightforward process. And then effectively we'll keep that up and you will have the trademark forever.
Hopefully.
Touch wood.
Touch wood.
So viewers, I hope you enjoyed today's talk. Again, if you've got any questions, we'd love to hear from you. Thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Absolutely. Good
Any criticism is good. Criticism. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
What should we do tomorrow?
Oh, actually, I won't be here tomorrow.
Oh, what?
As I'm a trainee, I have to go to my legal practice course. I do this every Wednesday. So I will leave you in Tom's capable hands.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.